Looks good. Hi, everybody. Um, Thank you for watching our sun safety webinar. I've got Danica from Know Better Life here. Danica and I actually went to high school together and reconnected recently through Beauty Counter. She is now my mentor and a very knowledgeable person about so many things, especially sun safety. And I can't thank her enough for being here tonight. Thanks, Danica.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here. Sharing education is definitely a passion of mine. And because of this beautiful weather we're having and all of the sunscreens I see out on the playground and the splash pads, I'm really passionate about what we're going to share tonight. A little bit about sun safety, so how to effectively protect your skin from the sun, but also about how to shop for safer sunscreens. You may be surprised if you haven't seen the news. There's a little bit shocking information about the ingredients that they've recently found in some sunscreens. So it's important for you to know, then you can be an informed consumer and make the best choices that work for you. So I'm going to share my screen here so I can share some slides with you to start. Okay. There we go. We're watching ourselves. There we go. Okay. Sometimes it just takes a second. Here we go for me to set up. And then we're get started. You see sun safety there?
You're frozen.
Everyone?
Yeah, you were frozen there for a minute.
Okay. Hopefully the internet cooperates. It usually does, but let me know again if I get frozen. Okay, we're going to talk about sun safety. So I like to start out not with too many facts about skin cancer, but it is important to know that it is the most common cancer worldwide. In Canada, 1 in 6 Canadians will be diagnosed with skin cancer. There are over 86,000 cases diagnosed every year. It's actually the most common form of cancer, well, like I said, worldwide, more cases of skin cancer than all other cancers combined. So 1 in every 3 cancers diagnosed worldwide is skin cancer, and 80 to 90% of those are caused by ultraviolet radiation. So that is from the sun or tanning beds. So we're just going to talk about sun safety and effective sun protection. So really simply how you can be sun safe is between the hours of 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. is when the sun, the UV rays are their strongest. So if you can take some shade breaks or just stay inside during those hours, whatever works for you based on the activities you're doing. If you really want to get some sun, because the sun does have some benefits, vitamin D and boosting our immune system, before 10 a.m. and after 4 p.m. are great times to go out and get a little bit of that vitamin D boost that definitely in Canada we need.
For sure.
For effective sun safety, you want to really try to avoid getting sunburned. I read a statistic that said 5 sunburns in your lifetime dramatically increases your risk of skin cancer. So a little bit of sun, not the end of the world, but a sunburn, if you can avoid those, please do. And ways to avoid them: cover up with clothing. So if you're using a hat or UV protective clothing, a lot of people I see nowadays wearing those like long sleeved one-piece bathing suits that have the UV protection, great for kids as well. And then also your eyes can get damaged from the sun, the UV rays as well. So wearing sunglasses, especially if you're on the water, on a lake or ocean or by a pool. Like tanning and never use tanning beds. And I will admit that in my 20s, I worked at a tanning salon. So I read that and I cringe. I am very sun safe now. And then lastly, if you do have a young baby, you might have heard this from your doctor or pediatrician, but newborns cannot wear any sunscreen, or they're not supposed to, because under 6 months old, their skin is very thin and it can be absorbed systemically, so into their body. Over 6 months old, their skin is thick enough that they can wear sunscreen, and I'm going to teach you a little bit about what to shop for in terms of a safe sunscreen. Carrie, I'm going to share this graphic with Carrie too that just has these tips we're going over, and she can share it in the group after for you to have a look at.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, so wearing sunscreen, I'll get more into the specifics of this, but really basically you want a broad spectrum sunscreen. That means it protects against UVA, which are aging rays that penetrate deeper, and UVB, which are burning rays. So those are the ones that we associate with tans and sunburns. You want an SPF, so sun protection factor of 15 or higher. Many people, there's a huge myth out there, think that they need to wear SPF 50 or even 70 because that will.
I just saw a Neutrogena commercial for a new one that's 110.
So that's all marketing, just so you know. And Neutrogena is in the bad books right now. You'll find out later why. So I wouldn't go after that. Don't be fooled by the marketing. The difference in, and I should have had a slide about this, but the difference in percentage of coverage of UVA and UVB rays for your SPF is so minor. So SPF 15 actually covers 93% of UVA and UVB rays. SPF 30 covers 97%, and SPF 50, so 30 to 50, covers 98%. So there's only a 1% difference between SPF 30 and SPF 50 in terms of covering those UVA, UVB rays, and all sunscreens, no matter what SPF, have to be reapplied every 90 to 120 minutes to be effective. So even if you're using SPF 110 by Neutrogena, you still need to reapply every 90 minutes. It doesn't last longer just because the SPF number is higher. The recommendation by dermatologists for applying sunscreen is to apply 1 ounce. So if you're a baker, that's like 2 tablespoons. And if you're a drinker, that's like a 1 ounce shot glass. So 1 ounce, and from my days working in bars, I know what a shot glass looks like. 1 ounce of sunscreen on your entire body every 90 minutes. Like, to me, that's a lot of sunscreen. Probably most of us are not using enough. You just want to make sure you have adequate coverage.
Yeah.
If you are swimming or you're in the water or you're on a run or excessively sweating, you will want to reapply sooner, and usually we recommend around 40 minutes or after you've towel dried. Okay, so here's why ingredients matter and why you want to consider shopping for safer sunscreens. In 2020, the FDA, one of the governing health bodies in the United States, did a study on chemical sunscreens, and I will explain shortly the difference between chemical and mineral. But they found that 6 of the active ingredients in common chemical sunscreens absorbed into the bloodstream even after a single use. So they haven't yet released information or done enough studies to tell us if that means they're harmful, they're not healthy for us. But what they are recommending is if you're concerned, that you should wear mineral sunscreen. And so at the bottom here, you'll see the 6 ingredients, active ingredients that seep into the bloodstream are avobenzone, oxybenzone, octocrylene, homosalate, octisalate, and octinoxate. And I guarantee you'll never remember those. But if you see anything on the label, so when you turn over a sunscreen label, there's always active ingredient at the top usually. And if you see anything that has a zone or a ene or a salate kind of thing ending, those are chemical ingredients, and chances are they're one of these, as they're the most common. To tell you a little more about these ones, oxybenzone and octinoxate have also been banned from the state of Hawaii. So this affects thousands of brands of sunscreen were actually pulled out of Hawaii or had to reformulate because those 2 ingredients, oxybenzone and octinoxate, bleach coral reefs and kill the coral reefs.
Terrible.
It is terrible, and I personally avoid those ones, but I'll tell you what to look for. Okay, this is in very recent news. So last week, Johnson & Johnson recalled 2 types of spray-on sunscreens. There are actually 5 different products that you can see here. Some are Neutrogena, which I mentioned have a bad rap right now, and Aveeno, they're all sprays. And the reason they're recalled is because they found elevated levels of benzene, which is an ingredient that is known to cause cancer. So the company did not formulate with benzene, but somewhere along the manufacturing process, benzene got into the product. Because of the lack of regulation from the FDA and in Health Canada, there's really no screening of our products before they go to the shelf. So it was actually a company in the United States, an independent pharmacy called Valisure, that tested sunscreens. They found 78 sunscreens, and a lot of them are common brands that we use. 78 of them had elevated levels of benzene, which is this known carcinogen. So far in the news, we've only heard of Johnson & Johnson recalling 5 of these 78. And they don't all belong to Johnson & Johnson. There's other companies, other brands. But recalls are purely voluntary. Companies do not have to take their products off the shelf, even when we know there's carcinogens in them. Okay, so how to choose a safe sunscreen. Now that we know the information that it's unregulated out there, what can we do as consumers? There's two groups of sunscreen. There's the chemical I mentioned, and you can see those words I talked about, the octocrylene, ivobenzone, anything with a zone or an alate at the end. Those are all chemical, and what they do is they seep into your bloodstream, which we've learned, but they take the sun's rays and they absorb them into your skin and turn them into light or heat. On the contrary, physical sunscreens, so some of you will know these as mineral sunscreens, there's two main ingredients we use, either zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. Should say dioxide, but titanium dioxide. These ones actually create a film or protective barrier on your skin, and the sun's rays bounce off and back out into the atmosphere. That is why, if you were born in the before the 80s and you remember all the zinc that we used to put, you know, patterns on our face, it was always like this thick, either neon color or white color. And the formulations have gotten way better now in terms of using zinc or titanium dioxide.
I never knew that's what that was.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So it was sunscreen back then, but I don't know why we did it in, in like stripes on our face.
Awesome.
Okay, so choosing a safe sunscreen, here's what you can do if you're shopping. Again, choose a broad spectrum, and they will say on the label broad spectrum SPF. It just means they cover UVA and UVB. You want a mineral sunscreen, so that means either formulated, the active ingredient is either titanium dioxide or zinc oxide. You want SPF 15 or higher. Talked about that already. For effective sun protection, you need to reapply every 90 to 120 minutes. And if you're in and out of the water, excessively sweating, or using a water resistant sunscreen in the water, you want to reapply every 40 minutes. On the label, so there will be a section that has the medicinal or the active ingredient, and then there will be the non-medicinal or inactive ingredients. You want to look for the word fragrance. It's a big red flag when you're shopping for anything that goes on your skin. Fragrance, or the French word parfum, means that there's undisclosed ingredients in that word. So it could be 3 ingredients that make up the fragrance. It could be 300 that make up the fragrance. But by law in Canada and the States, it's considered a trade secret. So companies do not have to disclose. Quite often, if the product has a very strong scent or a lingering scent, it will have phthalates in it, because that's what causes the lingering strong scent. And phthalates are known hormone disrupting chemicals. So ideally, we don't want those in our products. I also avoid retinol or any retinol derivatives, retinol palmitate in my sunscreen. If you are using retinol for anti-aging purposes, your dermatologist probably already told you this, but you want to use it at night because it can change your skin cells to be more susceptible to sun damage. I also look to avoid polyethylene glycols, PEGs, which can be contaminated with 1,4-dioxane, and which is a carcinogen. And then lastly, a common one we hear about is parabens. I was literally just shopping at Costco and I was looking at all the skincare, and I pulled over some common brands that I'm going to share on Instagram, and they were like methylparaben, isoparaben. I thought, really, in 2021, we're still formulating with parabens? Parabens are known hormone disrupting chemicals, so they will throw off your hormone makeup depending on your exposure to them. So I avoid those on the ingredient label as well. If you're using a spray sunscreen, you want to avoid chemically propelled aerosols. So any of the traditional aerosols, the ones you saw in the photo here, those are all traditional aerosols. Traditional aerosols use chemicals, we don't know what they are, to propel the product into the air. And those chemicals that they're using can often be harmful for our health. So the one I'm holding up, which Carrie and I will show you in a few minutes, but it's actually vacuum powered, so air powered. And then lastly, if you are doing all of these things, then you are also choosing a sunscreen that's reef friendly. So it's good for the aquatic life if you're swimming in the ocean.
Danica, I just have a question there about reapplying. So like if we're getting ready for work in the morning and it's 6 a.m. and we're, putting on our creams with SPF and that, Now, do we have to reapply when we're finally getting out the door at 8 o'clock?
So I think it's most of my clients come to me, women come to me and they go, oh, I want a moisturizer with SPF. And I'm like, okay, why? They're like, oh, well, I want to protect myself from the sun. I said, well, when do you put your moisturizer on? Yeah, 6 in the morning or 7 in the morning. I said, well, when do you go out in the sun? Usually at lunchtime. So that's like a 5-hour difference. So yes, you need to reapply your sunscreen, ideally 15 to 30 minutes before you go in the sun. Now, I'm telling you this from like, I'm not a dermatologist, but this is what's recommended by dermatologists for effective sun protection.
Yeah.
Most of us just mentally want to know that we put sunscreen on in the day and then we go out in the sun.
Totally.
So, but if you're talking about effectively protecting yourself, then yes, you have to reapply.
Thank you.
Okay, so Carrie and I are going to share a few of our favorites. First and foremost, we both love the Beautycounter sunscreens because they are safe. So they third-party test all of their products pre-formulation, so during the sourcing period, during formulation and post-formulation, to make sure that there's no contaminants, no toxic contaminants, nothing sneaky in there. Excuse me, like the benzene made its way into those Johnson & Johnson ones. We also love them because they are reef friendly, they're safe for our health. But there's other products on the market, Green Beaver, Goddess Garden, Think Sport, there's other safe brands of sunscreen. The problem is if you apply them, they leave like this thick cast, like we were talking about that zinc from the 80s. So they can leave you looking quite white and pasty. The reason we love the Beautycounters as a bonus is that they don't leave you white and pasty. They use zinc oxide, but it actually absorbs clearly and it's non-nanoparticles, meaning it doesn't absorb into your bloodstream, but it goes on clear. So let's show you a few. Okay, Carrie, what's your favorite one?
Well, I personally, for me, I love the Daily Sheer Defense. I use it every day on my face. I'll just, it's a little pump and it's the SPF 25. And I use it every day on my face.
So that one, if we're talking about coverage against UVA and UVB rays, we're looking at about a 94% coverage from UVA and UVB rays. And yeah, I use this one too. I love it. I'll put it on half.
It goes on like so light, eh?
It's very silky. It doesn't clog pores. So if you do have oilier skin, it doesn't clog your pores. You can see it just absorbs translucently. It's great. I use it on my kids as well, if they'll let me.
Yeah. And I find the scent is so light too. Like some sunscreens smell really strong and then I'm not a fan. This is really light.
This one's really nice. So the other one for face, have you tried the Dew Skin?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the other one, this one's it's a combination between a skincare and a makeup product. So what shade do you have there?
I've got light.
Okay, I have light too. I usually go bold in the summer and wear medium, which is a bit dark for me, but I'll put it on the other half of my face. So Sheer Defense is on this half, which is clear. And then this one is tinted sort of skin color. Different smell. I like the smell of this one, a little bit stronger.
Yeah.
And this one is sort of doubles as a makeup product. So it doesn't offer as much coverage as the foundation, but it does give you kind of a sheer overall blended coverage with a nice dewy finish. Yeah, I love that one.
Nice.
That's like all I wear for makeup now is just the Dew Skin.
Yeah, it's a beautiful one. And that one's SPF 20. So we're looking at 95. Oh no, this one was 96. 25 is about 96% coverage. SPF 20 is about 95% coverage.
Okay. And I love my the two I use on the kids is the stick, SPF 30, and even my 4-year-old and 15-month-old are like putting it on. They love it. They don't complain about it. It goes on sheer. Yeah. Like you can't see it at all.
It's also nice if anyone's a runner or a cyclist outside. It's a nice one for any outdoor activity where you might be sweating because it's not a liquid form. And also it's really small, so you can just kind of pop it in your pocket. I have to have about 4 of them because I lose them in purses and bags. So yeah. And my kids, like I said, with the sheer defense, they'll sometimes let me put this on, but almost every morning they fight me for this one because they want to put it on themselves.
I
Yeah,
like,
they wanna-
I like that, Danica, because I'm a golfer.
Yes,
So carrying something in my bag, and I don't want my hands to get all oily
exactly.
and
Perfect.
that. So that would be perfect.
Yeah, so this one's perfect for that because you can just kind of touch it up on your nose and your cheeks, like where you need to.
Yeah.
That one's great for that.
I was thinking too, this will be great. Like my daughter starts school in the fall.
Yep.
And so like I'm training her now to do it herself. So then she can go out at recess and be prepared and put it on herself.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my 7-year-old has one in her backpack and she does that at summer camp now and when she was in grade 1.
Perfect.
So they're great for that.
Mhm.
Okay, what's the other one you use on your kids? Do you use lotion or mist? Yeah, me too.
Yes, it's so easy to put on. I love it. And it's so light on them. I usually like I'll spray it on my hand and then apply to them. There, Danica's got
That's what I do to my kids. So I get them to stand with their
Oh,
arms
wow.
out and I just
Yeah.
go like that. So it is white, but then it absorbs
clear.
clear, which is really nice. And it has a light citrus scent. So if you like oranges, it's really nice.
But it's still not even that strong. I find like compared to other sunscreens out there, like the beauty counter ones are still like they smell nice and it's not too strong.
Well, they're naturally scented. So they're scented with essential oils rather than being scented with synthetic fragrance. So synthetic fragrance, which is in a lot of the conventional brands, for sure Neutrogena and Aveeno would have synthetic fragrance.
Yeah.
Those are just tend to be so much more pungent and strong, whereas these are just really nice light scents.
And like you said too, these ones are they're not the chemical aerosol. These are the vacuum packed ones, right?
Right. Yeah, so it's air powered inside. It's got some kind of air pressurizer that powers it to come out. The tip I will say is sometimes because it's zinc oxide, if it dries on here, the nozzle can get clogged. So you just take a warm washcloth and then wipe it off and it works. My kids, because this is so easy to use, they do waste it sometimes and it's expensive. So do you have the lotion there? I don't have my
the lotion too, yeah.
So if you're looking for something that's the best value, the tube of lotion lasts the longest. Like one of those tubes would last your family the entire summer, unless you're using that 1 ounce shot glass, which I know nobody is. But the lotion will last you the longest. There's no wasted product. It's not like my kids go out on the front porch and they're just like this. And I'm like, don't waste the sunscreen. But again, and it rubs in clear, like Carrie showed there, and it is a little bit more hydrating than this one. This one I still find is fine, but that one's even a little bit more hydrating. And then when you get to the bottom of your tube, you can actually cut it open and then dig out your last few days product.
That's a great tip. I've been
Good idea.
2 months now and I still have lots left. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
So in terms of value, if somebody's looking for, they are expensive sunscreens. So if you're looking for something that's going to last the longest, then that lotion is great. And then I also love the face ones we showed. I also love them because these tubes I cut open at the end and get like a little spatula and just scrape it all out.
Yeah.
Every last penny.
I don't know about you, but like other mineral sunscreens I've tried, like especially on the kids, it just dries their skin out so bad, like so bad that it's like scaly. And like after a few days, I'm like, I don't know what's worse, putting the sunscreen on you or like sending you out in the sun without sunscreen, because it just looks so painful. And the beauty counter ones now I've been using on myself and the kids for 2 months and like twice a day, and not like barely dry at all. Like if like the baby had a little bit of dry the first couple days and now she's totally fine. So it's unreal to me that these products are like so good, so light. They protect you. We haven't had any burns and they're not drying our skin. So super happy with these beauty counter ones.
They do put some conditioning agents in there to soothe your skin for what you're saying. I've had the same thing with my kids when they were younger using different sunscreens. And I find with my kids, if we've been using zinc is a naturally drying ingredient. So some people do find that it dries their skin. But what I make sure I do with my kids, if their skin's like dry from being in air conditioning or something a lot or not drinking enough water, I actually apply moisturizer onto their face or their arms first, and then I put their sunscreen on.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Just gives them a little bit. So with your baby, something just a really nice light cream. I usually use my Countermatch expensive face cream, but it's like, it's a really nice cream that they like. I put that on first, just a little teeny little bit, and then the sunscreen on top. So it kind of helps create a little bit of a barrier too.
Perfect. Those are great tips.
Okay, well, in terms of information, we've just chock-a-block full this quick little webinar. So if anyone has questions, where can they go, Carey?
You can post them on our group, and I will get back to you. If I'm not able to answer you, I will seek Danica's great brain over there for some answers. But yeah, message us for questions or more sunscreen tips. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, great. And I'll send you a couple little images to share. Sorry, Jan, go for it.
That was amazing. That's a lot of information, a lot that I wasn't aware of. And I mean, we read things in the media, and whether it's fake news or you want to believe it or not. I was actually using Aveeno, which I had never used, but I was putting it on my face. And of course, now I'm not going to do that. But yeah, good information. Quite enjoyed that. You're a very good speaker.
Oh, thank you. Lots of practice with teaching. And
Yeah.
one thing I like to remind people is it can be a lot of information at the beginning, and it can feel overwhelming, especially if you didn't know it and you realize your products at home are potentially unsafe. But I always caution people to don't panic. It's all about moderation. If you want to finish your current skincare products or sunscreen that you have, the next thing you purchase can be something safer, and you can slowly swap out the products that you have at home to safer options. And over time, that's going to help your health and your families as well. So it's not a crisis at the moment. No one has to panic, but it is just good information to be aware of. And if anybody does want to order, I think you have a code.
Oh yeah, we have a 20% off code for your first purchase. It's clean for all 20. So you can enter that at checkout, or I can help you with your orders. Just let me know.
Awesome.
Great. Well, thank you, Danica and Carey. That was wonderful.
I appreciate you doing this, Danica. This was great.